All right, well,
driving directions from Highway
get this meeting started.
to any destination you specify.
Wow, Jacob, they're always listening.
Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Request.
Second, Miller.
Motion and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Any public comments?
Richard Crouch said I could fill in for his vote today. He texted me, so it is in writing. He wanted that, Carlos. So I'm going to think that I should.
Support it.
Motion for him or just get them going.
Yeah, I think we have enough policy. We have Susan, Angie, Charles, so should be fine, but, is there an email or something?
He just had texted me.
Oh, okay.
What's for me? Okay, everybody read the minutes? If so, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Make the motion, Miller?
We have a motion, do I have a second? Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Apologies. I'll second that from one way. Okay.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carried. Okay. Fiscal year 2026 RPA-18 transportation alternatives set aside. Rest of that.
Transportation alternatives set aside program funding. So we're coming up on the fiscal year 26 time of year to open the call for projects. So just some background information. The set aside funding that's available for fiscal years 26 to 29 is $810,270. Currently, there are four projects programmed for fiscal year 25. There's the Pottawattamie County Conservation Board multi-use trail. There's the Shelby County Board of Supervisors sidewalk and trail along Iowa Highway 191. And there are two projects in Glenwood, the East Sharp Street bicycle and pedestrian trail, and then the Glenwood Lake Park bicycle pedestrian development. And just some general information about the program, just to refresh your memory. It's a competitive application program. The funding is 80%, or basically there needs to be a 20% match, so it's 80-20. The projects are usually local or of regional significance. And some examples of eligible project types that can involve construction, they can involve planning, they can just involve the design of the following types of projects: on-road and off-road facilities for pedestrians, bicyclists, and other non-motorized users of transportation infrastructure. Infrastructure-related projects and systems that provide safe routes for non-drivers. The conversion and use of abandoned railroad corridors for trail development. Turnouts, overlooks, and viewing areas. Community improvement activities such as removing advertising, historic preservation, removing noxious vegetation, archaeological preservation, and environmental remediation or mitigation projects. And then the Safe Routes to School program also qualifies for this type of funding. And eligible project sponsors can be local governments, regional transportation authorities, transit agencies, natural resource or public land agencies, school districts, local education agencies or schools, tribal governments, metropolitan planning organizations if they serve an area of 200,000 people or less, nonprofit organizations, other government entities that are responsible for overseeing transportation or recreational trails, and then a state at the request of a type of entity listed above. So the timeline that we're proposing is to open the call for projects this Friday, October 18th, so 2 days from now, and then close on January 24th. And then it'll give us a few days to prepare a summary, and that'll be ready on January 29th, 2025. And there'll be a 30-day public comment period. And then that'll end on February 28th, 2025. And then project selection, we're proposing to have that at the March 12th RPA meeting. So the motion requested is to approve the timeline and to approve to open the call for projects for the Transportation Alternatives Funding Program for fiscal year 2026. Any questions or any?
From policy or technical?
For this one, it can be one vote. I mean, we can do it that way just to keep it consistent. But
For the policy.
we can do the typical technical recommendation and policy approval of the recommendation.
Then I would make a motion to, I guess, accept the schedule.
I'll second that. A motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
And then that was for the schedule for the timeline. So now we need a vote to open the call for projects for fiscal year 2026.
You have a motion.
Policy, Miller?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
So the application process is pretty much the same as last year. We have a website that we're updating this week, so it should be ready by Friday. Basically, we're just changing the details on it. The application forms are actually the same. There's parts A through F, and then there's a second part. It's basically a checklist. And then there's also a minority impact statement. And then the website provides instructions on, basically they email it to us, they email it to RPA@mapcog.org. And like I said, we'll summarize the applications and present them in January. And that's all we had for the TA set aside program, unless there are any questions.
You typically send out notices to the communities.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, we will be sending, as soon as the website is updated, we'll send an email. Okay, additional items, we had a Trails Development Workshop. Napa hosted this workshop on October 9th. We had about 20 people attend from the region. We had some city administrators, we had some community development people, we had somebody from SWIPCO, Trails, Pottawattamie County Trails, Shelby County Trails. Our guest speaker was Kevin Bell from the Rails Trails Conservancy. He talked about the Great American Rail Trail and talked about basically all the benefits that communities receive from connecting to a project like this. There was a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of interest. Sounds like people want to keep these conversations going, want to continue to build upon and expand collaborations that are already in place. We'll be sending out some materials that'll kind of summarize what was discussed at the meeting, and there'll be some resources included in there as well. We'll send those to everybody who got invited, even if you weren't able to attend, you'll still get the resources if you're on the list. And if you know of anybody else who may be interested, just let me know and I can include them on the list. But it was good. It was a really nice way to kind of reestablish some of the connections that are out there already. And I guess we should discuss we have probably no meetings in December and January unless there needs to be a TIP amendment. We'll have a meeting in November and then again in February. If this location works for everyone and is available, is that what we want to keep doing for now?
Yes, please.
Yeah, John?
I like it here.
I
Yeah,
like it here.
it's okay with John.
We even got coffee today and got a sign out at the end of the road now. It's a little sign.
It's a little sign though. We were saying it need a big sign so we don't drive by.
Flaming P.
It does. Yeah, this is a great location.
Do you know for sure, John, if it's available in
I'll
November?
have to check.
Okay.
What months, November?
November 13th at 11. So that'll be our next meeting. No meeting in December, and January, unless, as I said, there needs to be a tip amendment. And then again in February. Are you able to check for February as well, or?
What was the date, February?
The 12th.
Yeah, usually towards the end, while we have these applications open, it's kind of lighter on the schedule. If a tip amendment does come up, we'll call you in to do that most likely, but we don't anticipate any tip amendments as of right now, but you never know. So that would be kind of the case. I think internally, this group would still have to do, we're working through our Title VI Civil Rights Plan as a organization agency. Once that is ready for approval and review, we would bring it to you all. Most likely, we probably wait till February to bring it to you all, unless you guys want to see it earlier.
Don't forget, our survey is still out there. We've had occasionally we get, few ticks, a few people filling it out. We'd like to get more, so please spread the word. I have some flyers if you'd like to take some flyers with you to hand out, just let me know, or I'll put them out there. And,
And I think at this point, we've already contacted all the county boards. So we've attended each of the board meetings for the Board of Supervisors at Pottawattamie, Mills, Shelby, and Harrison County. So hopefully we got a good deal of input. A lot of information that's been coming out has been with regards to safety and the safety work that we've also been taking on. So I think there's a good coordination effort between this call for projects, taking a closer look at some of these safety enhancements that we might be able to do, and leveraging funds to accommodate everyone. One of the things that we're also investigating is there is the opportunity to match some of these safety related or safety focused funds at a 90%. So we're working with the state to try to understand that. How do we unlock that potential when it comes to a safety related project within our region? I know that's a conversation at the MPO we're happily having with the state of Nebraska. We'll take that on the Iowa side as well to understand how we can best leverage some of these funds. Getting back, Susan was there at our Board of Supervisors meeting, but also at the Trails Workshop, which was a really good convening. One of the main things that we're trying to understand is where do we prioritize our limited resources? And right now, one of the key points that's coming out is we can use this Great American Trail connection as a leveraging point, right? Right now, the Pottawattamie Conservation Board has that 27-mile section that they're working on between the city limits of Council Bluffs to Neola, I believe. So going through Underwood, Neola, I think there's still a lot more work that needs to be done. Further north, we have the Ballpark to Ballpark Trail in Shelby County that's connecting from the north. There's still a gap there. I think the Great American Trail needs to go east towards Avoca and some of the other cities out that way. I think that's what we're looking to come together. And I think one of the big takeaways from that trail conservation meeting was really, how do we best work together, not get in our own way? Because a lot of local communities and or conservation districts or others are also seeking funding from some of the local funders like Iowa West. And so their appetite for building small segments is very low. However, if they see a big project that involves multiple cities, multiple counties, bigger dollar project, they are more willing to be at the table for those conversations. That also allows us to unlock other discretionary funding that is currently available, such as RAISE, and or others that are out there. So that's kind of part of the conversation. I think the other part was that I heard, I'm just being a soundboard, was also, how do we best coordinate with county engineers when we're trying to build these trails in and out of local communities, right? So how is that coordination happening? How do we get people to the table to talk about these priorities at the local community level? Still much to come, but it was a great workshop. Thanks to me and Brad for helping out, but we're looking to do more along those lines to really impact this access mobility piece, but also looking really deeply into this safety aspect of things. So more to come.
Yesterday, Mia was at Shelby County. And our board chairman, who's a farmer, he brought up the fact that farmers are using bigger and heavier equipment on our county roads. And leaving ruts, you know, especially have a little rain. So I don't know if that's anything that we can do about that, but it is a safety concern because if you got ruts in the road, why? Somebody's gonna go in the ditch. And it's something I never thought of. It's true. Used to use the old corn wagons, you know, to go down the country road. Now you got the big,
Rolling grain bins.
yeah,
Yeah.
huge.
So we-
Tires that wide.
So I know like, and of course, you know, most farmers now have trucks that they transport grain
We talked about that too.
and like in Guthrie County where I live. Typically, you know, like when you blade, your guys bring one side up, bring the other side up, go down the middle and put the crown back in the road. And in Guthrie County, what they do is they'll peel one side up and then basically take it across the road and leave a windrow. And that windrow sometimes, I'm telling you, it's 2 feet tall. And if you don't get it all the way to the edge of the road, you've now narrowed that road. And you've created a hazard. And the bad part about when it does rain, it just, that windrow of rock serves as a curb.
That's
And it just erodes the road. And it's like, I've had talk with Josh, I'm like, is there any way you can do this differently? And they just don't.
How does that show up in the payment condition reports through grants?
What's that?
The payment condition reports, like how is that showing up? Because then that would be a greater deterioration, right? And so it should be applied in grams, right?
Well, it's not a pavement. It's rock.
Oh,
But, you know, and then, you know, the other part too is like, you know, we as a department are constantly reminding motorists, hey, be alert for harvest equipment, trucks and tractors and combines and whatnot. Well, we've got guys that run up and down on our gravel road that are probably hauling 60, 65 mile an hour, carrying 90,000.
Mm-hmm.
And they go by and it's just a dust storm. You can't see nothing because the roads are powder.
Yep.
Because, you know, we haven't had rain for a while. And so it's like, how do you get the message out to them? Hey, we're looking out for you, but you need to be looking out for us too. And then consequently, if you meet one of those semis that are going 65, 60 mile an hour, whatever, and you got to move over, now you got to climb up on top of this 2-foot rock pile. And it's hard to do in a car if you had a pickup or so, it's not a big deal, but it's just, we're creating hazards out there we don't have to do it.
It's true.
And like I said, I've had conversations with Josh, but I can't get through to him.
Habits die hard, I think.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of counties that did that for a while. And I know some of our operators still like to do it, but it's harvest time, everything's back. There is none of this windrow stuff because that's not.
And I wish they would do that too. And they've been out, on the roads, blading, trying to get some of the washboards out, at the, where you come up to a stop sign because, you're hauling 90,000 and you're, trying to come to a stop and
Sometimes those windrows though, if you're trying to cut washboards out now and it's so dry, all you can do is windrow it, wait for rain to have some moisture, or if it has vegetation, can't lay it back out
Right.
smooth, so it have big clumps in it, just balance.
But they do it year round. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's just what they do. And I don't know how to change it. And then, if you get somebody that's not paying attention, they bring that rock pile closer to the center of the road instead of on the edge of the road. So now you're talking about, instead of having a 22, 24-foot top, you're down to a 16 to 17-foot top.
And the farmers complain about that water sitting there. Especially like a school bus comes and pulls over to get the kids, and they gotta get into that rock to get over to get the kids. And that's the danger too.
Yep. For sure.
Yeah.
My neighbor, he farms a lot of ground and, when they leave that windrow and that water sits there, he'll go through with his loader, push it out so the water can get off the road, But on Audubon, because when I go to work, I live in Guthrie, but I go through Audubon County too, and then down into Cass County where the office is. Audubon County, there's no issues, but Guthrie County, there is.
I guess it just depends on how the county runs their road crew, I guess.
Yeah.
I promised I'd bring that up, so I did.
And that's a good segue to the question I had, since the DOT's at the table. It seems like every day you turn on the news and there's a new fatality. And it seems like Iowa is just, are we above our normal?
So last year was an unusually high year, not unusually high year, but it was a high year last year. And we were actually trending downward for most of the year, but here in the last 3 weeks, we've had several fatalities. The one in particular that caught our attention was 3 weeks ago. There was like 7 fatalities over the weekend. And of those 7 fatalities, the majority of them were either ATVs, UTVs, or motorcycles. And so then we got that, so then the conversation came up, well, is it higher now because we're allowing ATVs and UTVs to be on the roads, which they were on the roads to begin with. It's just now there's a way to capture that. But the other part of it too is, so a lot of these kids, there's kids out there driving these ATVs and UTVs that don't even have driver's licenses. Is that where the fatalities are coming from? So we actually had, in Ames, we had a conference, and I don't know, Carlos, you weren't there, but I think you did have staff there.
I think that sent court.
I think it might have, I don't think it was court. I think it.
In September,
Yeah,
it was Lindsay and Laura.
okay, Lindsay and Laura, yeah. And anyway, so they had a guy there talking about traffic and safety and tracking the data. So we were able to go back and look at that data. And what we found out was it wasn't underage drivers. It was like people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s that were part of these fatalities that were driving these UTVs, and they were like on an ATV ride. And so, yeah, it's alarming. I mean, a lot of it is, distracted, impaired drivers. It's driving fast for the conditions. We can put messages out there every Monday on the billboards or on the dynamic message signs, and we can put the word out, but it's still, you gotta change driver behavior, and it's hard to do. But yeah, we don't like to see the fatalities up that high, because I mean, a lot of it, just like we had one not too far from our house, not yesterday, but yeah, yesterday morning at 2:45. Some guy not from the area, didn't take the curve, went through a field, went airborne, hit a power pole, sheared the power pole off, Vehicle went another couple hundred yards and he was thrown from the vehicle because he wasn't wearing a seatbelt.
It's lucky he didn't set the whole county on fire.
Right,
How dry it is, yeah.
right. But I mean, I don't know how you reach somebody like that, that's driving a high rate of speed and not paying attention and not wearing a seatbelt.
Common sense.
Well, there's not too much about not much is common about common sense anymore.
Can the DOT partner with Farm Bureau? You mentioned the high-speed semis loaded with grain. I mean, that's your Farm Bureau audience. The UTVs, that's your Farm Bureau. I mean, can we partner together somehow to?
I think there is a partnership with us and the Governor's Traffic Safety Bureau. And then I think Farm Bureau and some of the other insurance companies are tied in with that too, because obviously it affects their bottom line.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, I don't know if there's more that we can do, but I mean, I know that certainly got our attention.
It's alarming.
Yeah.
Well, do we have any more comments or?
Do you want me to find out exactly when that letting is?
Yeah, would you?
I haven't looked at those
Susan
plans.
hits me up all the time on that Friday.
Who does?
Susan.
Oh,
I
okay.
live in Carson
Oh, okay.
and the detour is coming through Carson.
Yeah.
So
Not the official detour.
Yeah.
the unofficial.
And I don't know if they're reconfiguring that interchange. And that's why they're not using the ramps. I need to go back.
That bridge is coming up, and I think I saw the construction limits are out beyond the.
Okay. Cause I mean, when that bridge was hit, obviously we were able to utilize those ramps and that made it a lot handier,
Oh, yeah.
so.
I'd still like to see them use those ramps. if possible.
I'll look at the plans again. Like I said, I haven't looked at them.
Even if it just shorts the closure down to a month or something. I mean, it seems like you could use those ramps right up to the end when you have to do that approach paving or something.
And I can share that information with our design staff too. But I haven't looked at those plans probably in a year. So I don't remember off the top of my head when exactly the letting is or.
Yeah.
Usually I carry my 5-year program around with me, but I don't have it today, so. At least my map.
Traveling light.
Yeah.
If there's nothing any further, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Got a motion? Do I have a second?
Second, Miller.
And a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You better leave if you say opposed.
That real loud.
Motion carries.